I still remember that night when I crossed paths with Gilles Garnier. A night when the wind carried the acrid scent of fear, guiding me to the dark woods surrounding Dole. In those times of famine and plague, man often proved more monstrous than we, creatures of the night. In 1573, Franche-Comté was dying. The exhausted land no longer fed those who worked it, and suspicion thrived where bread was scarce. Every shadow was an omen, every glance a judgment. Europe, ravaged by superstition, abandoned itself to the hunt for monsters, real or imagined. In 1582, as we journeyed to Transylvania, Isabeau, Isaac, and I, the memory of that episode still haunted me. Isaac had grown, and we were heading toward the lands of Azrael Zigri, where he was to be judged by his kind. I did not know whether I was leading him to redemption or damnation. The hunt for lycanthropes was intensifying. In 1589, in Germany, Peter Stump was accused of turning into a wolf to devour children. His torment matched the terror he inspired: quartered, mutilated, burned. In Franche-Comté, the Garnier affair had paved the way for blind paranoia. The Malleus Maleficarum, that cursed treatise that had provided a pretext for persecution for over a century, inflamed minds. The pyres no longer burned only witches. They now claimed the men believed to be wolves. The night I found Gilles Garnier, he was hunched over a child's corpse. Shreds of flesh hung from his clawed fingers, and the air was saturated with the metallic scent of blood. Even I, who had seen countless carnages, was struck by the indecency of the scene. His gaunt, sinewy body was nothing but a grotesque parody of humanity, and yet he bore within him a raw, untamed power. He was not a man, not anymore.
"Who are you to disturb my meal?"
His voice was rough, guttural, nothing more than a rasp of hunger and despair. His feverish eyes, half human, half other, sought in me an answer he already knew. He knew what I was, just as I knew what he had become. A werewolf, enslaved to his own hunger, consumed by the darkness that had granted him this poisoned gift. A being both victim and executioner, a distorted reflection of a world that fed on its own demons. For a moment, I thought of Isaac. If he too gave in to his nature, would he end up like this? The thought chilled me more surely than the night wind. "You will not survive long," I told him. "Men will hunt you. They are weak, but their hatred is a weapon." He growled.
"They will not take me alive?"
"Number, but they will take you, and when they do, you will understand just how much you still resembled them." I left him there, absorbed in his morbid feast. A few weeks later, I learned that Gilles Garnier had been captured, tried, and burned by the Parliament of Dole. A swift justice, a punishment commensurate with the fears he embodied. He howled like a beast until his last breath. As we approached the Carpathians, his cry still echoed within me. Isabeau, beside me, observed the world with that cold gaze, impervious to the terror of men. Isaac, however, did not hide his indignation.
"They burn men on mere suspicion,"
he said. "Because they need monsters to hunt," I replied. "Today, it is the wolves. Tomorrow, it will be us." Superstitions feasted on souls just as hunger consumed Garnier. Pyres rose across Europe, and I wondered, were we so different from the creatures history would forget, or the monsters it would remember?